Hi, my name's Megan, and in this research presentation, I'll be looking a little bit more about emotional breakthroughs that are currently only explored within the psychedelic field, and whether or not this is something that could be experienced within conventional talking therapy or not. So, before we start, I thought it might be useful to tell you a little bit more about myself. So I'm a second year student currently on the MSc in Counselling in Bangor University. I decided to join my research group on this topic as research into the field of psychedelics and how this has an impact on both mental health, well-being and mental illnesses is something that has always intrigued me for as long as I can remember. And I do strongly believe that there are things both psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy and just conventional talking psychotherapy can teach each other in order to come together and encourage both practices to be more effective. So, where does psychedelics come into all of this? So, psychedelic drugs have been used by humans for hundreds, if not thousands, of years for a number of different reasons, from recreational purposes to spiritual and healing purposes. And all of these different psychedelic substances have the ability to actually induce shifts in consciousness and cognition through transient changes in one's sense of self, changes in emotions, perceptual processing, and feelings of connectedness. Because of this, it's caused a huge surge in popularity due to its multitude of uses, which meant that more and more people worldwide were becoming aware of its almost magic abilities. In today's society, psychedelics are being widely researched and praised in modern clinical trials for its ability to treat a variety of psychiatric conditions such as anxiety, depression, substance uses, and PTSD. So, what exactly is this emotional breakthrough that we're talking about? An emotional breakthrough is an important and distinct component of the acute psychedelic experience that's proven to be a real key component of the subsequent longer-term psychological change. It can almost be compared to a certain extent of the psychoanalytic notion of catharsis, which is the idea that emotions, thoughts, and feelings are released or completing a previously held back self-expression. Now we know that this can come from psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy, but what about conventional talking therapy? This is an aspect that has been overlooked in talking therapy, or there's simply a lack of evidence pairing psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy and talking therapy together. Can an emotional breakthrough be experienced in talking psychotherapy, or is this exclusive to psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy alone? The processes that could affect therapeutic change is not actually fully understood in its entirety amongst all fields of psychotherapy, so it can be difficult to determine if whether or not processes amongst psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy can occur in conventional talking therapy, as it's important when looking at psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy that it's implementing common psychotherapeutic techniques that come from an extensively studied framework. But despite all of this, to date there is still insufficient evidence and discussions on how psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy greatly differs from conventional talking therapy, which can come as a shock to many people. So, when looking at this, it's important to take into consideration the impact that the media can have on people's perceptions. So, another reason as to why emotional breakthroughs could be further researched and discussed is that even though there are high success rates of using psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy, it's not easily accessible for many people worldwide, as well as another common issue of individuals potentially not feeling comfortable to go down the psychedelic route of helping their mental health. There is a misconception that with the use of psychedelic drugs comes a form of mysticism, spirituality, and the fear of the unknown, which can be particularly daunting for individuals trying to wrap their heads around this new and upcoming treatment for mental illnesses. So by looking at whether an emotional breakthrough can be experienced without the need of psychedelics, can potentially bring peace of mind to many that fear that conventional talking therapy just isn't enough alone. Now, this isn't to say, however, that this is everybody's views on using psychedelic drugs to treat mental illnesses. In recent research studies, media portrayal and an overall cultural curiosity exploring both consciousness and spirituality, it's changed the conversation about psychedelics from this dangerous, illicit, recreational drug to a potential medicine that has great therapeutic effects on those that use it. And if we can see if an emotional breakthrough can be accessed without the need of psychedelics, this could open a lot of doors for many different people. So, in order to conduct our research study, we decided to go for a quantitative independent measures design, with just one dependent variable being the emotional breakthrough score, which was measured by the Emotional Breakthrough Inventory. All of our data was collected using an online questionnaire. We did this due to the fact that we were aiming for a relatively large data pool of participants, as well as the fact that it allowed us to really save time during data collection. The population that was targeted for the study was the UK adult population over the age of 18. The questionnaire was circulated online to a range of social media sites that were specific to a group in society that we wanted to reach, such as counsellors, people that may have taken psychedelics, so on. We recruited opportunistically using the student participation panel in the School of Psychology in Bangor University. Overall, the sample that completed the questionnaire was 75 participants, which were then grouped into 4 categories depending on the variation of psychotherapy sessions that they attended. So that was none, moderately, considerably, and a great deal. All participants were also asked to fill in the emotional breakthrough inventory in order for us to make a comparison between the two. Now, it's important to state as well that this research study adheres to the British Psychological Society and the British Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy guidelines for ethical research and best practice. It's also important to state that all members of the research team are members of the BACP, which ensures that we all work in accordance to these ethical frameworks. So, after 75 participants completed the questionnaire, measuring the amount of psychotherapy sessions attended against the participants' emotional breakthrough inventory scores, and the data was measured through correlation using the ANOVA test. Now, the table shows the results of the data collected from all participants, and we can see that whilst there's not a significant difference between the amount of psychotherapy attended and emotional breakthrough score, there is a marginal difference between not having attended any sessions to attending a great deal of sessions, which could be anything between 51 sessions to over 100. So the results that have been collected show us a number of things. With regards to the research question being asked, the results show us that whilst there was only a very small difference between having no therapy and having a lot of therapy, it does in fact show us that experiencing an emotional breakthrough is not exclusive to psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy, and that it is something that can be experienced through the form of psychotherapy alone. It's also interesting to see that despite it being a marginal difference, the small increase in the emotional breakthrough inventory score in the great deal of therapy group could show us that there are methods that are being used both in psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy and conventional talking therapy that are proven to be successful in improving emotional and mental well-being. When looking at literature that was published with regards to the research question at hand, it was commented on how there is a likeness between psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy and conventional talking therapy. And this could exhibit that there may be an underlying link between the two that has a lot more in common than we already suspected. The results could help in the driving force towards encouraging both fields to come together and embark on the curiosities to help all individuals access the support that they need, whether that requires psychedelic drugs or not. So it's important to think with regards to this, where this research could go. And I believe that it could potentially open doors to see these two forms of psychotherapy work interconnectedly, and it leaves room for other future researchers to get a better understanding of emotional breakthroughs as a whole, which could inevitably be applied more commonly in everyday psychotherapy practices with clients in order to promote a better mental well-being amongst individuals. It may also encourage the development of psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy to become a more popular, understood, and welcomed form of psychotherapy. Thank you so much for listening, and if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Thank you.